Hey guys, I'm Samantha Mizell with Community and Council Realty, and today I have with me Ryan Graham, our founder and real estate extraordinaire. How are you, Ryan?
I'm great, Samantha. It's always good to be with you. How are you today?
I'm doing great. I'm excited to talk about some fun home purchase, home sale tools that maybe people haven't considered and go over what we're seeing in the Atlanta market right now. So there's a lot going on. We're entering into a spring market. Things are starting to pick up. Let's first just give everybody an overview of maybe what's happened in the past couple of years and where we're at now in our Atlanta metro area.
Yeah, I think that's a great place to start. So, oftentimes, I say the general public tends to be about 18 months behind the reality of a market. And I'm sure that's true of like all industries, whether it's finance or real estate or whatever it may be. And so, the backstory in 2013, we started the recovery process from the great housing recession, but it wasn't really until like 15 or 16 where things started getting a little wild. And if anyone watching was a buyer or a seller during that period of time, you know what I'm talking about. You remember multiple offers, prices going above list price, and that trend continued forward. We had COVID, and then we had the post-COVID market, which was even crazier than that recovery market. And so things have cooled since then. Now, people, is the market crashing? Did it crash? Is it going to crash? No, no, and no. But it has changed. And so we occasionally will see a multiple offer situation, but for the most part, we don't. Houses are sitting on the market longer. They're selling for list price or oftentimes less. And so, why that's relevant to today's conversation is when the market shifts, when the negotiations shift, when everything shifts, different tools that weren't previously available become available, and different strategies and ways of implementing that become available.
Yeah, so I think that's a really great point to bring up. There's different pockets in Atlanta, and some of them are feeling crazy with multiple offers, but by and large, we're seeing a lot, maybe a more stable market. So a tool that we've been seeing a lot, and we've even dabbled with ourselves, is a bridge loan. Layman terms, what is a bridge loan?
So, layman terms, a bridge loan is just a very short term loan that allows a buyer to purchase a home before selling their home. Now, I mean, there might be some obvious reasons why that's attractive, and there might be some less obvious reasons why that's attractive. But most buyers, right? Most homeowners who want to buy another home, they're going to be tapping into the equity, right? We've built a lot of equity in our homes over the past, 5, 6 years or more. And so we want to use some or all of that money as our down payment on our next home purchase. And this is particularly important right now in a market where the interest rates have gone from insanely once in a lifetime, once in multiple lifetime low values to like still under the long term average, but it feels like it's a lot higher. So when we bring equity from the current house to the next house, it helps manage that potential increase in a mortgage payment. But in order to get that equity, we have to sell the house. And selling a house at the same time you're buying a house is stressful, challenging, difficult, all of those types of adjectives. So the bridge loan, in layman's term, is just a short-term loan that allows a buyer to buy the house without having to sell their house at the same time.
Okay, so it's bridging the gap between your first position to maybe your next stepping stone home.
Yep.
So when you're using a bridge loan, you mentioned, I think temporary short-term loan a couple of times. Is there like an average time period that we can expect?
Every lender is going to have their own sort of set of rules, but most of the ones that we've worked with, you'll see 3 months, 6 months, a year. I'd say that 3 to 6 month window is what you're typically going to see. And here's the reality of it: like no buyer, no homeowner wants to own two homes for more than 6 months, right? Like because spoiler alert, you're still going to be paying mortgages on both of these houses, right? It's still going to be a happening. So we want to stop that as soon as possible. So 3 to 6 months tends to be more than enough time.
Okay, so that totally makes sense. So, strategic advantages for a bridge loan, what maybe lifestyle or negotiation advantages does that offer a seller who wants to buy?
Yeah. So let's be real. The bridge loan does have a cost associated with it. So it's, but what are we getting for this cost? Like what's our money paying for? Super important. So you mentioned two really important things. Let's start with negotiation, like strategy, right? So if you are moving into a purchase, whether it's in a competitive situation where there might be two or three buyers who are interested in the property, it's a brand new listing, all that kind of stuff. Uh, if you're traditionally, you would say, I want to buy your home, Samantha, I'm going to buy your home, but it's contingent upon the sale of my house. And then you're going to ask, like, well, wait a minute. So, like, is the house on the market? What's it priced at? How's it look? How's, who's your realtor? How's all the marketing look? Yeah, there's going to be a lot of questions. And at the end of the day, like, you're probably buying another house too to move to. So now we're starting to stack these dominoes up. This sale is contingent upon that sale is contingent upon, and so forth. So that if I can offer you a contract that's not contingent upon the sale of my house, whether it's because there's other buyers, I'm far more attractive, or even if there are no other buyers, right? Your house has been on the market for a month or so, like it gives me the ability to negotiate with you a little bit more, right? Like maybe I can get the price a little bit lower. Maybe I can get you to pay some closing costs. Maybe I can get you to paint that, rainbow colored room a neutral color. Yeah, these sorts of things. It just gives me the ability to, negotiate a little bit more.
Okay, so I mean, that makes a lot of sense to me. I think if I'm looking for an attractive buyer, not having as many contingencies, especially in maybe a competitive pocket of Atlanta, that matters. That could make the difference between an accepted contract or a not accepted contract.
Yeah. Hey, let
Um,
me jump in real quick. You said lifestyle, which is I started with strategy, market, these sorts of things, which is I think important. But I'm a believer, and it may be because I've been in the business for so long, that lifestyle is actually the most important piece of this, whether we're talking about why we're moving to another house, or in this case, the way in which we're going to get to that next house. The reality is that getting a home ready to sell is not a small undertaking, right? We've got repairs, we've got fixing it up, we've got staging, we've got packing, we've got decluttering. Like we can do a whole nother series on just that type of stuff. And then if we're simultaneously trying to do the fun part, right, which is find the new home, buy the new home, move into the new home, all that kind of stuff, we've got a lot going on, right? It's far easier. Well, okay, it's not easier, but it's far less stressful. Okay. If we're focusing on the purchase first, maybe working on some projects on the current house, getting things ready in the background, but we can put all of our energy and effort there. And then we get, all the kids, all the dogs, all the cats, all the people, all the family, everybody bundled up, moved into that next house. Big exhale, and then we go back to the old house, get it completely finished and ready to go, get it on the market, get it sold, right? Showings, blah, 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 blah. So there is a cost to a bridge loan, but most people, many people find that to be a far more favorable approach, and it's worth the cost of the loan.
yeah, I agree. And lifestyle, community and council lifestyle is very important to us. You talk about how it's challenging to kind of do the sell and the buy and the repairs and all of the things at once, but it's also just really hard to have people coming into your house when you have small kids, pets. Hard to clean up, after a busy day. How many people work from home now or a hybrid? It's really hard to coordinate those schedules and showings. And maybe you can kind of speak to us from the agent perspective. When you have a home listed that has a lot of guardrails around showings, when they can happen, how much notice is needed, I would assume that can affect the eyes that get on the property.
Yeah, it really can. This is a great point to bring up, and it's I think a very subtle point, but it's super impactful. So real world example, the scenario that you talked about, we encounter all the time. People are working from home. They're in a hybrid situation. They're juggling kids. They're juggling their own lives and schedules. They've got maintenance people coming and going, right? All of this stuff. And then, so sort of the question that sellers ask us all the time, or the request that sellers will make all the time is, hey, can I limit showings? It would be so much better if we could just show like from maybe 10 a.m. to 3 p.m., Monday through Friday, and by request only on the weekends, except for on the third Sunday of the, I mean, you get what I'm going with, right? So we start putting that type of restriction on a showing schedule, then agents and buyers are going to come along and they're going to say, hey, I'd like to show it at this certain time. And but that isn't fit for our schedule. Well, but this is the only time we're available to see it, right? Like we're coming in from Boston, we're coming in from California, we're only here this weekend. Like it might sound like a lot of nothing, but it's a lot of something. It really truly is. We live in a fast-paced market, a very fast-paced market. Okay, people are very busy. The modern world that we live in, we're swiping left and swiping right, and that's sort of like how we operate as humans in today's modern society. My point here is you have to cater to that. Like if a buyer is in this mentality of I'm going out and I'm going to go see 4 or 5 houses and I'm going to go pick one of them and buy them. And by the way, that's kind of the standard now. It's not the exception. You need to be available. And if you're limiting your showings, you've potentially missed an opportunity to have the buyer come through and buy your house.
Yeah, that really makes sense and it resonates. And I think that I look at the other end of the spectrum and I think, oh, well, what would it be like having to leave my house on a minute's notice? I've got two small kids, I have dogs, I have to clean up the mess so it presents well. That makes me crazy just thinking about it. So that's where the bridge loan comes in. So, what I think I've heard from you so far is that it can be a really good negotiating tool because it can eliminate some contingencies and timelines. It can also be a really good lifestyle tool so you can maintain your lifestyle, protect your peace, protect your home, and maintain that family balance that you have. So you have to have a little bit of equity. I think people hear equity and they think, well, I haven't owned my home for 20 years. It's not a 20-year moment, especially in today's market. What do you think is kind of like the point that you should start considering or opening the conversation to a bridge loan?
I mean, look, the truth, you're right. I think most people do think equity is a long-term thing that you acquire, but a lot of you guys that are watching this right now, I know Samantha, I know myself, like we put a down payment down when we bought our house. A lot of times a very meaningful down payment, maybe 20 grand, 50 grand, 100 grand, 200 grand, like, right? That's equity right there. That, I mean, that day one, you have the equity of the down payment that you put into your house. So you can utilize that. But in terms of a time frame, the past couple 3 years have been fairly flat, but fairly flat in our market still means 3, 4, 5% of appreciation per year. So for every $100,000, we're talking about 3, 4, $5,000 per year of increased property value. So just do the math, kind of map it out. Like, you could be talking about 10, 20, 30, 50 grand over just a past few years. If you've owned your house for 5 or more years, there's probably more equity in your house than you realize. And by the way, you've been paying down, even though at the beginning of a loan it's a smaller amount, but regardless, you've been paying down principal as you go. So between your down payment, the principal you've been paying, and whatever the market has done to benefit you, you've got equity. You've definitely got equity in your house.
Yeah, absolutely. And if that's something that you're listening to this and you have questions or maybe you just kind of don't even know where to start, we're always happy to, pick up the phone and start the conversation about what that equity may look like and introduce you to the resources that can help.
Yep.
So a lot of pros, it's sounding really, really good right now. I think a lot of people are like ready to pick up the phone. What are the cons, if any, of a bridge loan?
The cons, the two cons really that I can think of. Number one is it's a second loan application, and that's not a big deal. I mean, yeah, it's not a big deal, right? Like if you're buying a house, you know that there's a process. You're filling out a mortgage application. You're going pulling W-2s, pulling bank statements, pulling blah 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 blah. It's not fun, right? It's not fun at all. And to do that kind of sort of twice, so it's doubly not fun. But it's the price of admission, so that's a con, right? So doing that thing twice. The cost is the bigger real con. Every different type of bridge loan that's out there has its own different fee structure. Some they front load it, some they're charging some interest along the way, some it's a combination of the two, some it's just on the back end. So this is where we connect you with a fantastic lender. We actually have a few different lenders that do different types of bridge loans. So you just figure out which one makes the most sense. I think the variable tends to be how long do you think you're going to need the bridge loan for, and that can impact the structure of it. But whatever that cost may be, I mean, it could be a few $1,000s, it could be tens of thousands of dollars if it's if we're moving between bigger houses, more expensive houses. So yeah, it's that extra cost.
Okay, and extra cost also including, I know that you mentioned the payment may be deferred in some cases. And just to be like totally clear, you're paying the two mortgages. So you're paying mortgage for house A that you've lived in and house B that you've transitioned to. This is obviously a very temporary moment, but that house B payment isn't deferred. I'm only clarifying because this is something that I personally had clarified to me recently in my home buying experience. So it's just important to know that.
Yep.
Um, so, real world experience. We've had a couple of clients, like in the last 30 to 60 days, use a bridge loan, and it worked out really, really well for them. But not to toot our own horn here, they had really amazing agents that had their back. What is the importance in this moment of having an experienced, communicative, locally knowledgeable agent?
Yeah. So I think this is something that I had to learn over time being in the industry. What I'm talking about is this idea that your agent is your negotiator. And they are, right? Agents represent buyers and sellers and help protect their interests, help negotiate to their best benefit in terms of price and terms and things like that, right? That's definitely an important skill. But an equally important skill, and possibly more important, is an agent that is so knowledgeable and so experienced in today's market as well as past markets that they can help educate the other side on what we're talking about. If I don't know what I'm talking about as an agent, right? And I just go into a negotiation and I throw this idea of a bridge loan kind of randomly at the listing agent, right? The seller's representative. And I can't articulate clearly what's going on here. If I can't kind of set the stage for how smooth this is going to operate, because I've got fantastic lenders that I work with on a regular basis. I'm knowledgeable about the process. We have closing attorneys, right, that handle this all very smoothly. And by the way, I've gotten my buyer ready for all of this. And oh, by the way, they're done. They've already been approved for it. They've already gone through the process. Like, when the buyer's agent lets the listing agent on the other side know all of this stuff and can give them a great deal of confidence, right? That's what really elevates the experience. That's the difference between that seller's agent going back to the seller and saying, hey, look, this is what this is. And it sounds pretty great. I feel very confident in the agent. I feel very confident in the buyer. I feel very confident in the lender. The whole process it's buttoned up. It's very simple. It's very clean. You should feel good about negotiating, because by the way, sometimes when sellers hear things like house contingent or bridge loan or something that's like a little out of the normal, they get nervous, maybe rightfully so, and they just walk away. They don't even give consideration to the offer, or they just simply say, look, I'll do it, but you're going to have to pay that list price, or maybe you're going to have to pay more than list price, right? Because I'm taking on too much risk here. So to get back to your important question, the agent representing you through this matters a lot. It helps the whole process work smoothly, and it gives you the best opportunity to get the house that you want.
Yeah, and I mean, it's a stressful time. Your two mortgages would stress anybody out. You're dipping into savings, maybe. It's hard. And having an agent that can do something, write a clean offer, can meet you when and where you need to be met, communicates what's going on, helps you meet the contingencies with your home purchase. All of these things really help you get where you need to be and get your home sold. I mean, it's critical when you're spending extra money a month. And that does come with, knowledge and experience in the local market.
Yeah. I mean, I think the point of this interview, the point of this conversation is as follows, right? Most people are not going to watch this full video, right? But people who are very curious about bridge loans, about buying and selling in today's market, some might watch this video. Here's the real point. If you were going to take one soundbite away from this whole 15, 20 minutes, whatever it's going to be this. The real estate process is complicated. It is big. There's a lot of moving parts. We're throwing in something kind of new. And, well, look, by the way, bridge loans are not new. They've been around forever. They're just more in vogue right now because of the change in the market, like we were talking about. There's a lot going on, right? And complication can create confusion. It can create some chaos, all these sorts of things. You want to be aligned with somebody that makes that process as easy as possible, right? And it's not just a great agent with a great brokerage like Keller Williams on a great team like Community and Counsel. It's all the people that are in alignment with that agent the lender, the attorney, the home inspector, like all these people, right? They really make the process run better. So that's, again, the takeaway here is this: find someone that you trust, understands the process, that has the experience to deliver in today's market, and can make the process as simple as possible, right? That's what you're looking for.
Yeah, simplicity is always good, especially in the real estate world. So you hear this video, you think maybe I have some equity in my house, I'm considering a move. What does somebody that this might be a fit for? How do we start the discussion? Next steps.
Give me a call, right? Give Samantha a call, give somebody on our team a phone call, and just start the conversation, or shoot a text, shoot an email. We know that people are busy with lives, and just however you like to communicate, we're going to meet you there. And let's just start a simple conversation. And we got to see what your goals are, what you'd like to accomplish, right? And we're just going to figure it out. And I know that's sort of a vague sounding answer, but everybody's different, right? Everybody's timeline is different. But that's really the best thing. The real estate agent involved is really at the center of the team, right? The quarterback of the team, if you will, if we want to use a football analogy, right? You've got, brokers like me that sit on the sideline and help coach things, but then you've got, your lenders, your wide receiver. All right, I'll stop. But you get what I'm saying. Like everybody has their own role in it. But that agent, that's the person who's going to be on speed dial with you for the next 30, 60, 90 days. You're going to be looking to them for guidance and for direction, right? They are your guide through this whole process, and the team that's around them supports every step of the way.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that. It's a very personal experience journey, and we really want our clients to feel at home. Did you get that, guys? So seriously, give us a call. Ryan, myself, anybody on the team is happy to kind of dissect your situation and introduce you to the resources that are best suited in helping. That we love to do that.
Yeah.
Um,
The next best step is always a strategy session, right? Like, and please, with us, there is no pressure. We do want you to feel at home. We want this to be a personal experience. We know a lot of times it starts with the conversation. I'm just home curious, right? I just would like to know like what's going on out there. So whether it's just watching this video and getting a little information about bridge loans and where the market currently is today, that's fantastic. But everybody's situation is very unique. And just because you reach out and ask questions about like what would it look like for me to buy a house, sell my house, use a bridge loan, other, that doesn't mean that we're going to hard sell you to make it all happen. That's the last thing that we're going to do. We love just sitting down and being helpful, having conversations. We're real estate agents. We love to talk. Come on, forget it. So but yeah, that's a first step, and it could go nowhere, and that's totally fine. Our goal is to help you understand what your options are, what the market looks like, what the equity in your home looks like, what buying looks like. And if that works out and it gets you excited and something you want to do, great. But if not, so be it. Now you know what the equity in your house is. Maybe you take out a HELOC and you put a pool in and you stay for the next 20 years. Maybe we'll do a video on HELOCs. I'm not even going to touch that right now, but you get what I'm saying. Like we're here to help in whatever way it might be.
Yeah. Okay. Well, thank you. I feel like this is super informative, and we're really explaining the in vogue bridge loan right now. So give us a call, Ryan. Thank you for explaining things and kind of opening this door for people.
Yeah, Samantha, thanks for having the conversation. This has been fun.